back. I'm going to talk about the importance of a detailed outcome elicitation in service of your clients um, as the centerpiece of any healing or change work, and also as the heart and soul of an ethical sales process or sales system. And in NLP, we do a few things. We go into, what do you want? And there's several well-forbidden conditions. Obviously, it needs to be stated with a positive because we can't help you get a thing that you don't want. We can't help you attain a negative. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be achievable. It needs to be set in time. There's a bunch of well-forbidden conditions. There's an ecology check. What impact will this have on you, your system, your community, the world at large, like that. But then, what would you be seeing, feeling, hearing, doing, and experiencing? So, outcome frame, evidence frame, and really flesh that out with the client. This is so critical for a few reasons. If you're working with a client long term, which I only work with clients in 6 or 7 month agreements, but we need to know what we're going for. We also, we need to know what that evidence is, what those metrics are, if you will. What would they be seeing, feeling, hearing, doing, experiencing is the way I like to do it. And this does a few things. First of all, they get to have a full experience of it in the moment when they flesh it out. And often these are questions clients have never asked themselves. So even the exploratory session I do with a client can be very valuable for them. But also self-hypnosis kicks in. They start to imagine it, they start to feel it, they start to hear what might be happening when they do that. So even if we don't work together, it's very valuable for them. That's the second piece. The third piece is, of course, what's been stopping you. And I like to say in the past, because we want to start to use hypnotic language to frame the problem as already in the past, or at least assist them in saying, well, because, sometimes clients, they think they still have a problem, but they've had the problem in the past. Sometimes it's out of date. And, if it's still present, obviously that's fine too. But, and these are things, usually emotional things, or, anger, fear, guilt, shame, sadness, beliefs, parental imprints, traumas, old narratives, things that need to be really teased out. And then as a practitioner, what you want to do then is design your initial processes or interventions around removing the things that are in the way, removing those blocks and stops. And then usually I have it. This is one of my positive beliefs. I have it that people just sort of rise to the occasion after that. If you just take out what's in the way, maybe there's self-esteem issues, maybe there's, something they keep hearing themselves say to themselves, maybe there's internal part work that they need to do to really reclaim parts of themselves and the part of them that has self-doubt or whatever, and you need to resolve that. So that's the overview of an outcome elicitation. By the way, that's at least when I work with a client, that's sometimes close to an hour, just getting all that information out at a very high level. This is also important because and I've met people who they say, well, I just don't work that way with my clients. Okay. I'm not sure how you work with your clients or how they would quantify the value you have brought to their lives. If you don't do a detailed outcome elicitation and then have the metrics that the client spoke to you with your own prompting, and sometimes you need to hold them through that, ask them several questions that will have them find it, because sometimes they're not used to thinking this way, and that's fine. But if you don't do that, then it's just, did they like you or not? And you're involved in a potentially codependent relationship. Or just did they feel good around you? And these are important things, by the way. You want them to like you. Rapport is really critical. They need to feel safe. But also, feelings are transient. You might come into contact with a client, and a portion of the way through, things get contentious for them, not for you. And this is the thing. If you're dealing with their outcomes, not, hey, you need to listen to me, but here's what's in service of your outcomes, then it gives you a very elegant way of redirecting them to their outcomes. So there shouldn't be this contentious, authority-based thing, or it's really like, well, here's your outcome. So rather than a coach who's, sitting across the table from you, and like really you're standing shoulder to shoulder with them with your hand on their upper back, and you're just saying, well, here's how we get the outcome that you wanted to. And there's a way in which you disappear in service of them because of that. You're just a vessel for their outcomes. It's also the centerpiece of a very ethical sales system, because if it's based on the outcomes, and you also need to be, clear about what you can do for them and what you can't do for them. If somebody says they want a thing and it's not my area, I just go, yeah, that's not my area. And I let them know in advance. I pre-frame. We've talked about framing in the last video. I just say, hey, by the way, if there's a thing that you mention that's not my area, I will say, that's not my area. Because we want to be ethical and respectful there as well. And also we don't want to be under any illusions about what we might be able to create together. So there's a clarity and a cleanliness to it. And then when you're working with a client, 2/3 of the way through is what I like to do in a 6-month program, but you get to review the outcomes, the metrics, the evidence frame, all that. And they get to grade where we are, and you can either redirect your attention, celebrate things you've already succeeded, and the like. But also, if you're not doing this, I don't know how you would gauge your success other than they really liked you. And so then it's just based on relationship, not on actual results, and on moving people forward in their lives. And so as a result, I think it's murky. I think it's borderline unprofessional. And for some people, I think it's actually living out like, well, I know I needed this. So there's some projection, some codependence that goes on. And that's okay. Some people will absolutely need what you needed. And this is true. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we want to have a very clean, clear, professional, and an approach that moves them forward, asking them what they want, what their evidence would be for that, what they would be seeing, feeling, hearing, doing, experiencing, and also what's been getting in the way. And then again, your first step as a practitioner would be to help them remove what's in the way so they can arise. And that's just basic like foundational work. You want to clear out what's in the basement so it's not rearing its ugly head later on in whatever they're trying to achieve in their life. You want to remove the blocks first, emotional beliefs, all those things. Just one of the things that we spend time on in the 7-month-long evolutionary NLP practitioner training starting May 14th. Message me if you have any questions or you're curious about how it can serve you with your work as a coach, in your business in general, you as an explorer of your own experience, wanting to have more facility, more healing and clearing in your own life, so you can move with more velocity to the things that you desire, or have a deeper understanding of yourself and others.